Hey, this is Christian with Draw Trainer. We got a request for some help with some vinyl plotting. This is going to be the letter J, plain and simple. I'm going to just type in the letter J and I'm going to hit P, which centers my object in the middle of the page. And then if you notice, as I'm dragging this, it's staying in the center of the page. The way you do that is you hold down Shift, and that'll keep it proportional, and it will keep it in the center, so it'll constrain it from all directions. So that's a good tip for you if you don't use that. Okay, so as for what this should look like, we're going to be looking for a white J with a blue outline, and I'm calling it outline because that's what you think of it as, but in CorelDRAW terms, we're going to be using our contour tool, and we're going to be applying a contour, not an outline. Alright, if you notice when I did that, change the color, it's not going to do anything. I actually have to make some other change, so I'm just going to change the thickness, and then that applies it. So I'm going to reduce that down quite a bit there, and I think that looks like something you would use on a sign. And so now I've got these two pieces, and so if I look at my wireframe, it's not really going to tell me a whole lot right now, other than that it's not an outline. And we'll go back to normal, and I'll just actually here I'll copy this. Well, okay, and just to show you the difference if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to apply an outline to the other one, and I'm going to make sure it goes behind the fill. And so I'm going to increase that outline to say 36. Okay, so you can see if you're looking at this on screen, they look identical. You cannot tell the difference other than that this one's a little thicker than that one, but relatively speaking, you would look at this and think they're the same thing. However, if you go to wireframe, these are the actual nodes. So you can see it's just one object, so that when you apply that outline, it does not give you a whole nother object back there, and that's what we want, because we want to be able to cut these out separately with the vinyl. And so here you've got one object in the background and one object in the foreground, and that is exactly what we want. So we're going to get rid of the one with the outline, we're going to go back to this one, and remember what we've done is we've applied our contour tool, we've adjusted our sizes and colors and our amount of steps. If you want to do 2 steps or 3 steps, you can see what that does. And then also if you want it to go to the outside or the inside or to the center, so you can kind of see what you can play around with these things and see what they do, and you can always revert back to what you had before. So down to the question at hand. All right, we've got our object how we want it. We're going to go arrange, and what we're going to be looking for is break contour group apart. If that doesn't show up, we need to click on the object and back off of it again in the white space, and then back on it again maybe. We got to make sure it's selected, but sometimes it just sort of acts crazy and like that. All right, so I'm going to try selecting the actual contour instead of the object. I'm going to say arrange, break contour group apart, or Control K. I want you guys to be learning these shortcuts, okay, because that's going to save you a ton of time. So remember that. Control K breaks your contour group apart. So I'm going to click off of it, and I'm going to apply that knowledge and click Control K. And now my objects should be broken apart. Control K. Okay. And now they're broken apart. So I have 2 separate objects. All right. And as John in the Facebook group suggested, this is actually a very good way to do this, is to just export each one individually. And so it looked like you were using, in your sample that you sent, some registration marks, so I'm just going to real quickly make some registration marks here, and we'll put those on there too for you, just so you can see what you would do with that. Alright, so I'm just copying these, I'm going to group these 2 together, and then I'm going to shift click on that and hit C, and that's going to center them. And now that I've got it grouped, I'm just going to copy it down, copy here, I'm going to group these 2 together, and then I'm going to actually center it both ways. There. Alright, And so now we've got registration marks, we've got individual objects, Okay, and so what we want to do is we want to name this one white. Okay, and then we want to name this one blue. Okay, and so if you want to manually do this, FlexiSign I think could handle this just fine for you, or whatever your sign cutting software is. It should be able to do this by exporting it as a 2-color EPS. But if it's not, then you can always do this manually. So now I'm going to copy this group of registration marks that we made. Okay, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it over here. And so what that does is now when we switch pages, you can see those layers are going to be in the exact same place. All right, and I got to remember this is the white one, so I'm going to click on my blue and get rid of it. And it's always a good idea, by the way, if you're doing this, to just copy it over to the side here and keep a composite. And it's not a bad idea to even make a new page and call it composite. And then you can take that and put it there as your composite page. And then that way you've got everything you need. You can come back to this file and, well, I got it off center, so let's do this again. I'm just going to copy this and paste it over to composite. Okay, so now you've got a composite. We're going to have a white page and a blue page, and of course this is the difficult way to do it. The FlexiSign should certainly be set up to handle this for you, but this is what you can do in a pinch. All right, so our white is actually going to be our black here, and so I'm going to just Control X or cut that. Well, actually, no, I did that backwards. I'm sorry. I'm going to take my blue out of here. So I'm going to Control X my blue, which is to cut that out of here. And I'm going to paste that over into there. And so you can see what this looks like. You've got composite, you've got your white, and you've got your blue, and you've got your registration marks. So now, even if you change this to black and export each one of these pages, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to go, this is my white, I'm going to go File, Export, or Control E. And I'm just going to export this to my desktop because I'll be deleting it, but I'm going to call it J dash, look down here, and white. Okay, and we're going to make sure we export that as an EPS, and we want to say selected only because I made sure to select this, and we want to make sure we say export this page only. That's important because otherwise it's going to do JWhite EPS 1, JWhite EPS 2, and that's what we don't want to do. So then I'm just going to click export, and that's going to send that to my desktop. And now I'm going to go do the blue. Oh, sorry, I've got to deal with this here. And we want to convert spot colors to Cmyk. You know, that really shouldn't matter much with cutting software. Any of this shouldn't really matter much. We do want to export curves as text so that we don't have to deal with any font substitutions. That should be really the only thing you should have to worry about here. Okay, and so now that's exported, and then we're going to go to blue, do the same thing, select everything, and we're going to hit Control E, which is export. Okay, and we're going to call it J-blue is what we're doing, and we're going to make sure these are checked. Say export. You know, all that's going to remain the same. Say OK, and then once we get to our desktop, we should see those right here. JWhite, JBlue. Now you can take those and start cutting away. Hope that was helpful.